Okay, so you can see how I've stitched the underlap right close, edge stitched it close to the zipper, and I can open it, and it's opening great. And now I'm going to zip it back up, and I'm going to go to the next step. So now we're on number 6. So I'm going to position the overlap edge so that the center front lines match. So this was the underlap line, so the next little snip is right in here, and that is center front. So I'm going to match that to this center front. See, here's my extension line, center front, and that's where I pressed it. So I'm going to match those up good here at the top, and they're already matched here at the bottom because that's where they were stitched. So that goes up nice and straight. Okay, once I get that matched, it is only overlapped by 3/8, but I do want to show you, notice how this mark where I stopped doing the stitching on the seam is 3/8 from the edge, just like this one is 3/8 from the edge. So I match those up good, and I'm just going to pin them together at the top. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my overlap and I'm going to move it, and now I'm going to stitch. I'm going to actually undo that zipper. So I'm going to move it. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, once I pin this here, okay, I'm just going to leave that for a sec. Then what I'm going to do is, see that, okay, I'll just do that, is that I move this, I just fold it back, keeping it straight, and then I'm going to pin this extension to the zipper, okay, and I just want to pin it so that I get it smooth where it's supposed to go. Okay, so I've got, what I did is I pinned the zipper to the extension on the overlap and made it nice and smooth so that when I push this back, my center front lines up, and it lines up here. And so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to lift, now, okay, so number 6 was to just pin it to where it closed and looked good, all right? Number 7 is where you lift up the pant front on the overlap, so just the zipper and the facing. So here's my facing, and there's my zipper. And I went ahead and pinned those together, and now I'm going to sew the zipper tape to that facing. The reason we do this, and I'm going to straighten that out just a little bit, the reason we do this is because when I do my top stitching on the other side, it may or may not catch the zipper. So I need to make sure my zipper is actually sewn in to the facing. So now I'm going to take those pins out that I first had in there, and I'm just going to go ahead and lay that down, and now I'm just going to stitch just those two. See, I'm not stitching it to the actual garment, I'm just stitching the extension to the zipper, and I'm going to stitch along the middle of the zipper. I'm not worried now about having getting it perfectly aligned with the teeth. Now I just want to sew it on here to make sure it stays. Okay, so I'm ready to sew the other side of the zipper tape to the facing extension, or the facing or the extension only. Now, if you'll notice, I'm going to need to move my needle all the way to the other side, because remember, I always want my needle between, or the needle needs to be next to the teeth. Okay, so I've got, let's go ahead and back stitch. Okay, and there's a dominant line on the zipper tape, and I'm just following that dominant line, which is right in the middle of the zipper tape between the teeth and the edge. And take your pins out before you get to them, because it can cause a little ripple here. Now when I get to the top, I'm not going to be able to unzip the zipper. Well, I can. It's kind of in there, so maybe I better. It'll be easier. Okay, so now I'm going to reach inside, and I'm going to unzip my zipper, making sure I've got it pinned so it doesn't move. And I'll just go ahead and finish sewing that. Back stitching. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's go and figure out the next step.